This story goes back to when I was in college about 8 years ago. I was studying engineering at a university in the Midwest, and like a lot of broke students, I took on odd jobs to make ends meet. On gig I landed was house sitting for this wealthy couple who traveled a lot for business. They'd be gone for weeks at a time, and I'd stay in their massive house on the edge of town, surrounded by woods. It was quiet, had a pool, and they paid well. Seemed like a dream. The house was old, built in the 70s. Creaky floors and those big bay windows that let in too much darkness at night. The first few stays were fine. I'd study, swim, and order pizza. But on my third time there, things got weird. It started small. I'd hear footsteps upstairs when I was in the living room watching TV. At first, I chalked it up to the house settling, old pipes or wind. But one night, around 2 a.m., was in the kitchen grabbing a snack when I heard a door slam from the basement. The basement was off limits. The owner said it was just storage full of junk, and they kept it locked. I checked the door, it was still locked, no sign of anyone. Shrugging it off, I went back upstairs. But as I passed the hallway mirror, I swear I saw a shadow move behind me, like someone ducking out of sight. My heart raced, but when I turned, nothing was there. The next day, I decided to explore a bit. Found the basement key in a drawer and went down. It was dusty, packed with boxes, old furniture, and cobwebs. In the corner, there was a small room with a cot and some canned food, like a makeshift shelter. Weird, but maybe for storms. As I was leaving, I noticed scratches on the inside of the basement door, deep ones, like nails digging in. That night, the noises escalated, scratching from below, then whispers. I couldn't make out words, but it sounded like a low murmur, almost pleading. I locked myself in the master bedroom, phone in hand, ready to call the cops. Around 3 a.m., the doorknob to my room jiggled softly, then harder. I yelled out, "Who's there?" Silence. Then a faint voice from the other side let me out. I didn't sleep. In the morning, I searched the house top to bottom, nothing. But when the owners returned, I mentioned the noises casually. The wife's face went pale. She admitted the previous owner had a mentally ill brother who'd lived in the basement, locked away for years. He died down there, but sometimes people heard things. I never house sat again. Trust me, some houses hold onto their secrets too tightly. A nurse working night shifts at a hospital in a small town in Texas a couple of years ago. I had this patient, an elderly man named Harold, admitted for pneumonia. He was sweet at first, chatty, always asking about my day. But as the nights went on, he started sharing stories, dark ones. He'd talk about his time in the war, but then veer into things that didn't add up, like burying bodies in the woods behind his farm. I thought it was delirium from the meds or age. One night, around midnight, the power flickered during a storm. The backup generators kicked in, but the halls were dim. Harold called me in, whispering urgently. "They're coming for me," he said, eyes wide. "The ones I left behind." I reassured him, checked his vitals, and left to tend to others later. During my rounds, I heard shuffling in the corridor. Peeking out, I saw a figure at the end of the hall, tall, hunched in ragged clothes, dripping wet from the rain. It moved slowly toward Harold's room. I froze, thinking it was a visitor who'd snuck in, but visiting hours were long over, and security was tight. I radioed for help, but static storm interference. By the time I mustered the courage to follow, the figure was gone. Harold's door was ajar. Inside, he was sitting up, staring at the window. "He was here," Harold muttered. "My brother. I killed him years ago, buried him out back, but he always finds me." I checked the window lock from inside. No footprints outside in the mud. But the next morning, Harold was dead. Heart attack, they said. When I looked up his records later, turns out he had no brother. But old newspaper clippings mentioned unsolved disappearances on his farm. Disappearances of people who looked just like the figure I'd seen. I switched to day shifts after that. Some patients bring their ghosts with them. This happened last summer when I was road tripping solo across the Southwest. I loved the open road deserts, canyons, that sense of freedom. But one night in New Mexico, it turned into a nightmare. I'd been driving all day and pulled into a rundown motel off Route 66 around 10 p.m. The place was sketchy, flickering neon sign, only a few cars in the lot. The clerk, an older guy with a scar across his cheek, handed me the key to room 12 without much talk. The room smelled musty with peeling wallpaper and a lumpy bed. I crashed hard, exhausted. Woke up to knocking at 2 a.m. groggy. I checked the peephole, no one. Must be the wind, I thought. But it happened again, louder. This time, through the peephole, I saw a woman standing there, back turned, long dark hair, in a white dress. Hello, I called. She didn't move. Against my better judgment, I cracked the door. She turned slowly, her face was pale, eyes hollow, like she'd been crying. Can you help me? She whispered. My car's broken down. Something felt off, her voice was too calm, her skin too cold in the desert heat. I'd offered to call a tow truck, but she insisted on coming inside to use the phone. Red flag. I said no, closed the door, and locked it. The knocking stopped, but then I heard scratching on the window. Peeking through the curtains, she was there, fingers dragging down the glass, leaving streaks. Her mouth moved, but no sound. I backed away, heart pounding. Then the phone rang, the motel phone. I answered, and it was her voice. Let me in. It's cold out here. I hung up, unplugged it. The scratching intensified, then footsteps circling the room. I sat in the corner, knife from my bag in hand, until dawn. When light broke, I grabbed my stuff and bolted. The clerk smirked when I checked out. See the lady? He asked. She checks in every few months. Died in a crash out front years ago. Always looking for a ride. I sped away, never looking back. Ghosts or not, some roads are better left untraveled alone.